one of the tragedies of losing Charlie Kirk is that he was such a voice of moral clarity on the right anytime somebody asked him. But since we spoke about him, the guy with the Nazi tattoo, Bernie Sanders, has not distanced himself. The entire Democratic Party seems to...
Explicit. He said, I love Hitler. I mean, that is the thing that he has said.
It's
So
like,
it's not like
Kanye without the mental disorders. It's no, he's just all out there. But
is it not okay to just say, yeah, Nick Fuentes, you're canceled. Bye.
Yeah, I'm honestly really shocked about all of this.
This is not like only a right-wing thing, right? There is rising anti-Semitism, and it exists on both sides of the political spectrum right now, and you do have to acknowledge that. But
hello, everybody. Guys, we got the Stepford wife back on the panel today. I'm going to warn you, this segment is going to piss you the F off. Let's get into this, and we'll talk about it.
The MAGA family is starting to look like a tree on Ancestry.com. And not only are there more and more branches, but those branches are breaking. You've heard that about many of these feuds over Epstein, over this Argentina bailout, tariffs, the Qatar plane and base, a third term for Trump, different reasons and different factions. But there's a new one, and it's bubbling up. After Tucker Carlson hosted a white nationalist and Holocaust denier, Nick Fuentes, the Heritage Foundation denied the speculation that it is distancing itself from Carlson after that stunt, in which America's support for Israel was discussed.
Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. Conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. I disagree with, and even abhor, things that Nick Fuentes says. But canceling him is not the answer either. When we disagree with a person's thoughts and opinions, we challenge those ideas in debate.
Conservative David French responded saying, "The fringe is now the mainstream, and one of the most powerful institutions in the American right is bending the knee." There's so many parts of this that are confounding, but I think let's just start with the fact that Kevin Roberts put out that video in the first place. I think that was an extraordinary choice on his part. But I also want to just note that after all of this firestorm, and there was plenty of it, he put out another very lengthy statement, and he denounces Nick Fuentes in pretty specific terms. But then he also says, "Our task is to confront and challenge those poisonous ideas at every turn to prevent them from taking America to a very dark place. Join us, not to cancel, but to guide, challenge, and strengthen the conversation, and be confident, as I am, that the best ideas at the heart of Western civilization will prevail." Lydia, I'm confused. Why is it not okay to just say, yeah, Nick Fuentes, you're canceled. Bye.
Yeah, I'm honestly really shocked about all of this. I think one of the...
Oh, shut us. I'm so tired of this. It's because they want the racist vote. That's it. One party wants those voters, the others do not. It's that simple.
Tragedies of losing Charlie Kirk is that he was such a voice of moral clarity on the right. Anytime somebody asked him a question that had a twinge of neo-Nazism or racism, he was the first one to say, that has no place in the conservative movement. You are not welcome here. And I think anyone who thinks that embracing somebody like Nick Fuentes is not just immoral, but I think it's also really short-sighted, because Donald Trump has become the towering figure in the 21st century he has because he has appealed to a wide swath of movements. He's appealed to Maha moms and Black and working class Latinos and people like Tulsi Gabbard, who rejected leftist ideology. And that's ultimately how Republicans and conservatives will continue to win. And I do...
There must be something, I mean, is there...
Before Abby changes lanes, this is so effing insane to me. What universe am I in? This is mind-blowing that no one on that effing panel speaks up when she just said about Charlie Clerk had moral clarity. If he had moral clarity, I must be a literal demigod. Like, this is insane. The man said God's perfect law was the stoning of gay people to death. Moral clarity. Any twinge of racism or bigotry, he was so against it, right? Verbatim, really? What he said. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He said Joy Reid, Michelle Obama, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, a Supreme Court justice, were affirmative action picks. He said they do not have the brain processing power. You have to steal a white person's slot to be taken somewhat seriously. Are you effing kidding me? And no one says anything on this panel. The man was a vile piece of trash bigot. I don't care that he passed away and we shouldn't speak bad about the dead. Like, get the F out of here with that. Charlie Kirk was also one of those people that pushed the white replacement theory. He was a horrible person, a horrible person. Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes ain't that much different. One is just much more careful, not even that much careful with words, but again, not really that much careful, to be honest, than the other one who just outright says he loves Hitler. Like, unbelievable, un-effing believable.
I don't know. Is there something that Heritage is afraid of in the Nick Fuentes, wing of the right? I mean,
they're afraid of Tucker Carlson's audience. And
Tucker. It's about Tucker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you can live without Nick Fuentes, you can live without Candace Owens, while being disturbed that both of them, who are right of center, have super large audiences and they traffic in anti-Semitism on a pretty regular, and conspiratorial nonsense on a regular basis. And I don't levy accusations of anti-Semitism hardly at anybody, but both of those people deserve it.
I mean,
but
Nick Fuentes, just to be clear, he's been pretty explicit.
Yeah,
he said, "I love Hitler." I mean, that is the thing that he has said. So it's not
like Kanye without the mental disorders. It's no, he's just all out there. But the Tucker problem is real, because who is Tucker Carlson right now? He is someone who gave a speech at the last Republican National Convention. He sat in the same box as Donald Trump. Yeah. He's one of the key figures of why J.D. Vance is the vice president of the United States. He has a gigantic audience, and for the last several years, he's been trafficking in cuckoo bananas, conspiratorial stuff, and inviting on and not challenging. That was the word in Kevin Roberts' statement that was awful. You say, we need to challenge and dispute these people. No, Tucker Carlson brings on randos as long as they're anti-Israel and sometimes blatantly anti-Semitic.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, and why do you think he effing is doing this? Because he knows where this party is. He knows that the majority of the Republican Party have some level of bigotry with them. And right now, the big one, what's hot topic right now for them, they effing hate the Jews. Like, they despise them. Like, this is just unbelievable to me.
And he'll say that they're great historians, people that no one's ever heard of. Yeah. He does this on the regular.
He brought on a so-called historian who was basically a Holocaust minimizer and praised him as one of the foremost thinkers on that period of time. So J.D. Vance was asked a question by a young questioner about Israel, and this person was basically saying that American presidents are controlled by Israel, and Vance was criticized for not pushing back on the premise of the question and answering it by saying, well, other presidents have been controlled by Israel, but Trump is not, because he's pushing back. And I've seen a lot of conservative Jews saying, what is going on here? Why wouldn't J.D. Vance denounce the premise of that question?
Right. Exactly. Look, this shouldn't be that hard. If someone is a Holocaust denier, if someone is clearly, explicitly anti-Semitic, you don't give that person the platform. Maybe that Tucker Carlson, because he doesn't have a certain, late night platform, you have to work a little bit harder to remain relevant. But this is not really that hard at all. And look, sometimes you just have to condemn it. What I'll say is that I actually, as a lifelong Democrat, agree with Senator Ted Cruz here. There is a rising amount of anti-Semitism on the right. I know some folks will talk about the leftist progressive Democrats, the DSA, allegations of anti-Semitism. I think it's way overblown. The rising amounts of anti-Semitism are from some of these forces on the conservative right.
Well, I would say, I think J.D. Vance actually very clearly in an interview with Margaret Brennan disavowed Nick Fuentes, that he has no place in the conservative movement, and I hope we see him say more statements like that.
What did he say about the group chat where they said, I love Hitler and the gas chambers? What did he say about that? Did he condemn it? Pendeja.
But I would say there's a frustration that the media only seems to care about this when it's coming from the right. And I know we spoke about Graham Plattner last week. But since we spoke about him, the guy with the Nazi tattoo, Bernie Sanders, has not distanced himself. The entire Democratic Party seems to embrace these
and
people
we were
like
talking,
Flatner, like Zoran Mamdani. That's a
they're
bigger problem than
completely
what we're
different.
seeing on the right.
Bernie Sanders had endorsed him and stood by.
This is the thing. Graham Plattner, for one, is one dude who admitted to his mistake. And I think I even was too harsh on him when I covered that segment. Time will tell, but he isn't running around talking about liking Hitler, loving Hitler, doing Nazi salutes, or wanting gas chambers for their opponents. We have all made mistakes, right? And if he's a changed man, which he says he is, then I'm okay with it. He owned up to it, fine, whatever. And again, time will tell who Graham Plattner is, right? I don't think any of us know. He's only been here for a couple months. But again, this pattern with the Republican Party is just inexcusable. How can you keep ignoring the effing pattern? No one brings up the word pattern by their most prominent figures at that. And it's not just against the Jewish people. Do we forget about Haitians are eating cats and dogs by the effing party? Trump and J.D. Vance and all these Republican pundits stood by it and defending it, making jokes about it. How about the constant attacks on black people? Calling them DEI highs, watermelon people in that effing group chat, the N-word. These guys are disgusting. How about the Mexicans are, you know what, and murderers? And feeding, these guys were just speaking about feeding immigrants to alligators. Like Laura Loomer said, all Hispanics should be fed to them. I can just keep going on and on. Even Laura Loomer is against what's happening right now. She's seeing it, that the leopards are coming to eat her disastrous face. And I could keep going on with these people. Slavery isn't that bad. Let's remove literally remove slavery exhibits from museums. Literally trying to rewrite history. Like, this is an effing pattern I'm talking about. It's not just against the Jewish people. This party has a theme of bigotry. Don't get me started on their obsession with trans people.
By him. We talked about that. But I mean, I actually, to be honest, I'm going to push back on what you said, because I do think that this is not like only a right-wing thing, right? There is rising anti-Semitism, and it exists on both sides of the political spectrum right now, and you do have to acknowledge that. But I think the thing about conservatives, and in a way, I actually give the conservatives who have spoken out in this moment a huge amount of credit, because there are many of them who are drawing a bright line. But the conservative movement has been sort of shaped around condemning anti-Semitism on the left over the last 2 years. And then for them to just kind of brush it away in the form of Nick Fuentes because it's coming from Tucker Carlson, that is the part that I think is perplexing, because of how vehemently they have spoken out about anti-Semitism on the left in the last couple of years.
I feel like we've been having, and I'll just take it even a broader picture here. We've been talking about free speech, and we know it's not free. When you see something like that happen, and then you have someone come out and say, guess what, you know, fringe is now more center, and it seems to be okay. There are only so many worlds where you can do that. There is no way in today's media landscape that you were talking about that we could be on the opposite side of that and have that conversation without the right being up in arms. And so I do feel like there is only a certain conversation that is respected for a certain few that are allowed to have that conversation without there being any real pushback. And it's just disheartening. I don't feel as if you feel like you can speak freely in America anymore unless you are in agreement with those who have a Tucker Carlson, if you will, or someone who has a powerful audience, someone who has the ear of the president. And it's not fair in the world that we live in.
Yeah, look, I'll just say this real briefly, is that I do think there is some elements of anti-Semitism on the left. However, it is not the vast majority of the Democratic Party or progressives.
I don't think it's a vast majority of either party. It's not, but it's a question of who is policing the boundaries of the mainstream of both parties. And I think it's a challenge for both parties to say, yeah, some people not allowed in the tent. And that they have to be willing to do that. And I think increasingly there's not a willingness to do that. And that is part of the problem that we're facing. But next for us.
Like, Abby, what in the F are you talking about? Like, again, with this two-sidesism. Where is the pattern of the left doing anything like this? She said no party has a majority of anti-Semites. But I will say that one party's majority are made up of bigots. Can you make that point? Of all different hatred of different groups they have. Like, Guys, educate me, please, if I'm wrong on this. But I'm against all forms of bigotry. I don't care who it is. White, black, brown, religion, any sexuality. I don't want to come here and lie to you. But I just do not see this pattern on the left of any form of bigotry. I don't want to hear about these stupid college campuses that's purely based on protesting a genocide that was mass slaughtering a group of people. Like, that our tax dollars was being used to commit these atrocities. That's it. It has nothing to do with the Jewish people whatsoever. Like, it could have been, I've said this before, it could have been alien from Mars, and you would have the same response from the left. Like, how can these people pretend to not understand that? If it was reversed, if it was the Palestinians doing what Israel did to the Palestinians, we would be effing against that. We wouldn't want the Palestinians committing a genocide on the Israeli people either, the Jewish people either. Like, how insane are you? Like, and if that's your only example, while these idiots are doing Nazi salutes, talking about loving Hitler and dreaming of gas chambers, denying the effing Holocaust, that's just ridiculous. Show me the videos of where we're marching down the streets yelling, "Jews will not replace us." Show me the left doing that shit. Like, guys, I feel like I'm going nuts over here. We aren't the ones pushing the white replacement theory that these idiots on the right constantly push. Another stupid, disgusting, racist conspiracy against Jews. Like, how dare anyone say that there's any level of comparison between the Democrats and the Republicans on this issue? Like, get the F out of here. This is why nothing gets effing fixed. Could you imagine, like, if it was reversed? You think if Scott Jennings was there and this was reversed, that he would let that shit slide? Even when it's true, he won't let it slide. No one in the effing panel pushed back on. Like, this one probably pissed me off more than any panel I've ever covered. That pissed me off. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel, really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.